remembering.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. And Lisa, you want to do a roll call?
Yes, Lori,
Here.
Jeff,
Here.
Dave,
Here.
Nancy.
Here.
Thank you, Craig.
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Julia is absent. I am here, and we also have Treasurer Lisa Hober.
Awesome.
Hey.
All right, so we have no need for the meeting guidelines. Public comment. All right, I don't have a printer here, so I think you'll still see me. You could still see me, right?
Yes.
All right, so there's obviously no public comment. There's no public here. So I'm going to go right into member correspondence and look at my notes here. So I did receive a complaint for the regarding the condition of the south end of Lakeshore Drive, and that is in process. So I think, Jeff, was that you that just brought that up?
Well, yes. I don't know if that's. I didn't file a formal complaint.
Oh, there y'all are. Okay. Yes. So there was somebody that officially sent me a complaint, and I'm going to forward that to all the appropriate people. But that end is really bad. I don't know if anybody's gone down there, but before I left, I noticed how bad it was. And what else did I get? Oh, and then so Lookout, and I think it was Sunset once. So far there's been a road here or there that's not getting plowed. And I believe I reached out to Michelle regarding the salting that was happening in the beginning of the season. It was like pure salt. And I said to her, well, I know that it's usually what do you call it? Contractors that do the salting, as maybe they're not aware that we're a very low salt community. And she responded back and said, no, it's the townspeople that are doing it now. So I don't know if they got rid of the vendors or what, but so I think which I haven't reached out to anybody yet. I just got another email today saying that Lookout was really bad and didn't get plowed. But I think it's the townspeople that are doing it now, and there's no more vendors. I don't really know, but so if anybody hears of any other streets, I think Sunset, somebody was complaining about Sunset, I think, on Facebook. So so I'll reach out to Michelle with that. And I did reach out to her about all the salting. That was just like, whoa. And then Corinne reached out to her as well. So that's it for member correspondence. Really. Lisa, I have a couple of voter regs for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Officers report. So Alex is under the weather. And so I want to make a motion to amend the agenda and have the properties report done at the conclusion of the treasurer's report. Lisa has been helping Alex with the tennis nets, the hay bales and the sandbags and the just a lot of the stuff around the lake. So she's going to provide a report from Alex. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow the properties report after the treasurer's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. I think that's all I really have for the officer's report. Lisa, do you have anything, Sobi?
I do not.
Okay. So financial reports. Lynn is not here with us tonight, but I can tell you that There are two outstanding members that have not paid. And I received an email from Adam and Lynn, and they would like to move forward with the auction process. And they've asked for a response from me, and it's our procedure. And not only is it our procedure, but we also, if we move forward with it, it syncs with the town of East Haddam, as well as us sharing the expense of the auction. So unfortunately, we're at that point right now. We've already passed the demand letters and so forth. So I thought a board vote would probably be the way to go. It's a recommendation from the attorney, the tax collector, and personally, I stand behind it. Can we take a vote, a yay or a nay, on moving forward with the auction?
Hey, Laura, have we heard nothing from these people?
That was my question too. Has there been any?
So
communication?
one of them has sent a check. It was post-dated back in January. It was a small amount, and has not continued to pay.
Last January, as in 2024?
No, 2025.
Lori, could you explain the auction, what that means, please?
So essentially, if they don't pay, now they're into legal fees, lien fees, interest, just so many fees. And so unfortunately, and this happened a couple of years ago, the tax situation is that we post the tax sale. It is what you legally have to do is post the tax sale at our kiosks. And then also, I don't know the exact timing, but I believe it's a week before the posting. It's put into the newspaper and advertised as such, as a tax auction. The last time this happened, the person wound up paying, but they wound up having to pay all the fees and everything else. And it's unfortunate that it gets to this point. It's really sad. But it is our policy and it is our procedure.
Which property is this again?
Do you really want me to say it on?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
I
if
mean,
it was or
it
not.
is public knowledge, but I don't think it's fair to the families. There's two families.
Okay.
But if you want to know afterwards,
That's fine.
I'll email it to you. Nancy, go ahead, honey.
So we've already done the collections and the lien and all that. This is beyond that.
We've done the collections, we've done the demand letters, we've been through the entire process that we normally go to. And
And is this any residence that anybody is living at?
I don't know if they're year rounders or not. I mean, I could look, but I don't know. But it is our procedure and it's
Okay.
the town's procedure. I mean, like I said, it's definitely not something you want to do. But I did tell Lynn I'd query the board and kind of get your feel on it.
Lori, quick
So
question.
Go ahead, Jeff.
The fact that I believe on one of those properties that we received a partial payment, per our attorney, does that now alter our course of action? Because like
No.
when someone owes you money, a business, and they pay you partial, that kind of sets a new ball game. So that doesn't upset the apple cart in going forward.
Not because there was no follow through. So they had a time where they were supposed to make payments and they defaulted on that.
Okay.
David, did you have something?
No, Chris does.
Chris? Where'd you go, Chris?
I'm here.
Oh.
I had my hand up. I just was trying to. So my question still is with the auction, because I'm not familiar with this process. What, are we auctioning their house off What are we auctioning?
Yes. East
So-
Haddam will, the town of East Haddam gets their payment first, but yes. This has happened a couple of years ago where it was posted and then the person came through. But so these people going forward will probably be Jeopardy billed if they do pay, which means they'll have to pay the next year's as well.
This isn't the repeat offender, right? This isn't the same person.
Right, when they're a repeat offender, that they will get Jeopardy billed.
No, I'm saying this person isn't the same person that it had happened to a few years ago.
Correct. It is not
Okay.
because we Jeopardy billed her, so she's in the clear this year.
Okay.
She's already paid.
Okay.
So, but this is two people. So I want to take a vote. Do you want to follow procedure or is that a yay or a nay?
I believe we should follow procedure.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't, do we set a legal precedent that is not good anyway, you know?
Correct. I agree. I agree. I mean, I believe in future, earlier boards, you know, the tax collector would just go forth with their measures. But Lynn wanted the board's opinion and her recommendation is to move forward. Yes, we don't want to set a precedence.
I think we need to,
Okay, so are you looking for a second? I think Jeff's second. So would you just say all in favor or you want us to raise our hands?
Does anybody have any other questions or commentary?
I think I
Okay.
agree with Dave as far as precedents, because we can't do one process for one family and not another. So I think we need to do what the lawyer and our tax collector recommend. I mean, we've done our due diligence. It's unfortunate and it's sad, but
Okay. So all in favor of moving forward? Okay, that's unanimous. All right, so that is pretty much tax collector report. Lisa, treasurer?
Shit. Hold on. I was distracted. Hold on. I don't have a lot. Google statement. Lori, I need a Google statement.
Okay.
When you get a chance.
Yep.
The reports have been posted to my drive, so they're there. I had a meeting with DeFilio this week scheduled. He got sick, didn't have the meeting. And that's pretty much it for treasurer. It's been, it's slow, it's winter. I don't have anything major. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Lisa? All right, we'll move on to the properties report then.
Yeah, I gotta find it. Hold on. He sent it to me. Shit. All right, hold on. I wonder where the hell it went. I got it. That over there. Okay. So first up, Wildwood Street sign he has will be repaired when the ground thaws. There's a second beach boat rack that was brought, I think, Chris to Lori to Alex. That'll be assessed and repaired when the snow clears. If that's not before the March 15th, because you never know, we get snow late sometimes, but he plans to put cone it off and tag it out until it can be repaired, because rather than move boats to try to repair it. The silt fence removal, when those get removed, he's going to be looking for a work party so that we can pull them up, dry them out, and save them. Because if they're savable, we're going to save them. The lake lines, he's looking to have those put in before Memorial Day. Again, he'll be looking for a work party. The hay bales and sandbags, he plans on having those removed before Memorial Day as well.
Does he need a work party for that, Lisa?
I think that's at the bottom. Let me go through the list. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm gonna send this to you anyway.
Okay.
Beach rakers. Dave Edgington has been confirmed for second beach. I will be canvassing for first and third beach promptly, because he has some neighborhood kids up at Glimmer Glen that were interested. At the same time, he's actually gonna be requesting an email blast, Lori, a prompt email blast for interested members. The tractor at the ball field, have not found a scrap dealer yet, so he may be asking for a volunteer with a trailer to help him get that. And the boat that was at First Beach is now at Second, and it's an old sailboat that somebody abandoned. It needs it's junk. So he'll be looking for somebody with a trailer so that he can get that moved to the dump. Third Beach kayak rack. He will collaborate with Julia to determine what brush can be removed from the rack for potential additional racks per member requests. So again, collaborate with Julia, and then that's going to be something that'll probably be over 1,000. So he'll be talking to the board about that, I guess. I mean, he and I did speak about the finances of that when he was talking to me about it. The tennis courts. He's unaware of what work is scheduled to complete those courts. And so his assumption is that when that court stuff is all cleaned up, that the court committee will be putting up the tennis net, the 2 tennis nets, and then maybe going forward that would come under court committee. And then, so finally, there's a list of email blasts he is looking for. Beach rakers, not all immediately. Beach rakers he's looking for immediately, it looks. But coming up, he'll be requesting email blasts for Lakeline volunteers. The hail bays, I think he wants to offer them to membership for compost or mulch before we actually remove them and get rid of them. Maybe people would want them for compost or mulch. And then a silt fence removal party, perhaps. And I think that's everything he's got here.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No, but thank you for working with him, Lisa.
Yeah, we got, I mean, he's around and I'm around, and we started talking about the finance and stuff like that. So a lot of it just intertwines.
Mm.
He was asking about his budget, and I told him that honestly, the board, the executive, whatever, they've been appropriating that budget for, since Phil abruptly left. It pretty much fell to the board, and you guys have been appropriating that budget. So he didn't have to worry about that. But I showed him a lot of the things that, we do pay for. So that's why we were working together anyway.
Plus, you were helping out. You were being a good volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Work like bull. But that's it.
All right. Any questions on that? I actually have one. Chris, how do you feel? And we've talked about this before. How do you feel about moving forward with the courts taking over, setting up and taking down the nets? I think you have enough people like on the committee and volunteers that would help to do that.
I'll run that by the courts committee at our next meeting.
Awesome.
Will be soon. But I agree. We should have enough folks on the committee to put the nets up and take them down and store them properly. I'm not I haven't talked to Alex about the courts. I did talk to him a couple weeks ago, but I'm not sure the courts. I'll have to reach out to them, but I think we're gonna have to close the courts until they're refurbished. I'm not positive, but I think that's gonna be the case. But I don't think we're gonna put the nets out until they're refurbished. At this
Okay.
point.
Well, at some point when you kind of get an idea, yes, I'll send out an email blast. Let me know. Because we should put something out there. You know, if they're not going to be in use or what have you.
Okay.
Sound good? All right, I got to go back to my thing here, not that one. All right, any more questions on properties? No. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Tell Alex, we hope he feels better. All right. Asset management and procurement. Chris sent out to everybody a model. I thought it was very well done. Did everybody have a chance to review that?
Yeah, I think Julia had offered some comments and Chris modified to accommodate Julia's comments.
Yes, I saw that.
Mhm.
I think it's a good model. I like the way you've updated it kind of towards, I think it was what Dave had sent out in his packet.
It's very similar. The columns are a little different, but the format was very similar.
How does
I
everybody
don't-
feel?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody looked at it or not, but Dave and I took a stab at it. We looked at the format. It's a little bit different way of thinking, as everybody knows, rather than, hey, we need $35,000 to refurbish the courts. This way you budget the money holistically. So when, the next 10 years comes around and we need to refurbish the courts again, when the money is there. One of the things I was going to suggest, and I may be jumping ahead, and Dave, go ahead and shut me off if you want, but I've looked at the pavilion as well as the courts that I sent out, and it is a little bit different way of thinking. I could look at, if you guys would like, and Dave and I could look at what this would look like, and maybe we get Lisa involved, and what this would look like with some sort of transition plan. Obviously, you're not going to turn the switch and go to this type of model, because it would mean too much of an increase to our pool of members. But I mean, we could do a rough magnitude of, if we did this and we looked at it and we went to this model and we did a transition for 5 years or 10 years, rough order of magnitude, what that would look like in an average fee. I mean, whatever we call it, that we pay tax every year.
Special assessment or tax increase you're talking about, Chris?
Well, not
Yeah,
special assessment.
over year tax increase.
Yeah.
'Cause you're not going to just turn a switch and get to this type of a model.
No.
I would think we would want to roll it into a 5 or 10 year plan and just get a rough order of magnitude, what that would look like year over year until we get to this level of investment.
I think on the overarching document, I agree with you, Chris. But I think what we have to do is take each one of the major assets and develop a model for them and then roll it up. And then
Yep.
once we have that, then start sharing that with the community as to what our vision looks like and get their input as well.
Agreed. I agree with that, Dave. And we did talk about that in the last meeting. We talked about doing one for each asset. And then we wanted to kind of reach out to the community and say, all right, we need to prioritize, which ones do we want to do? And so Tish, she's the chair of the budget committee, Chris. She's the one we would also incorporate into
Sure.
getting this implemented and maybe what our best course of action would be on how to, maybe we step it up by percentages each year, to catch up, or obviously we know we can't just dump this, come up with each asset and dump it on the community in 1 year or 2 years. So yeah, we do need to come up with a plan, but I think having this comprehensive asset analysis is key for all of the major assets to be able to present to the membership. And I think it'll make sense to a lot of them.
I think Craig has his hand up.
I'm sorry, I got yours small now because I'm
No, I was just going to ask what's the number of major assets that we had? I know we had a long list, and I can go back and look, but
there's 7 or 8, I
7.
believe.
All right.
7.
and
Seven.
so as I look at this one, Dave's point is really a good one, but the annual planned budget on the tennis courts is $20,000. So if we have another one that's $20,000 on the pavilion, or like coming up with a list of the 5 or the 6 that are most important, or the 2 or the 3, and then just kind of averaging it all out. I mean, I guess there's nothing from a budgetary standpoint that says we have to plan exactly $20,655, right, Chris? But
Right,
if we
yeah.
have like a
Right.
general fund instead of one for each, maybe that would be an easier sell to the
All right,
membership.
so what you're talking about?
No. What I'm saying is if we map it all out and we say, look, these are the things that are going into this, but it's all roped into one conversation, so to speak.
All right, so I don't remember which meeting it was, but it was at Chris's house. And we were talking about taking our capital reserves and just dumping them into different assets.
Earmarking them, yes.
Earmark.
Yeah,
The earmarks.
okay, well, that's a better word. And so this, Craig, is basically the education that we wanted before we earmarked money.
Okay.
So this is how we move forward from that. Let's take our capital reserves and just earmark them. This is the education.
Okay.
So
I remember that meeting now. Yeah.
yes. So that's why we didn't just want to say, hey, take 10,000, put it here, take it there, put it there. We need to, scrutinize each asset under a model like this or this. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I'm thinking a couple of steps ahead, obviously, but no, I agree with Dave. If there's 7, it may be a good idea to get a couple of people and say, okay, you have the parking lot, you have the dam, you have the
Yes.
whatever the 7 are, the wall, and
Yes.
and then maybe we just get together. I mean, we could get together at my house and work on them for an afternoon, and try to get some of it started, and then have the 1 or 2 committee members finish them, and then report back. But I mean, I would be happy to have folks come to my house perhaps, and we could at least rough them out and get them started. Like I said, the courts you could see there is pretty well established. The pavilion, I think, is pretty good. But obviously, you guys got to look at that as well. But I'd offer up that to meet on a Saturday and bring your laptop and bring a bunch of people, and we could talk it through. And if that's an option, if you think that's a good idea.
Well, so I wonder if different assets have different needs. For example, some of them are going to require contractors to support, facilitating their needs, and others don't, right? And I mean, the other thought I had is, for a while, I think we've been underfunding things, and at some point it's going to show, and people are going to ask why.
Right. Agreed. I think it's already been rearing its head. I mean, just with the tennis courts, it reared its head, and Chris took the ball and got some money to just put some work into it. But from what I understand, over the years, it's always been, okay, well, we need this fixed. It's a special, everything went into a special assessment instead of planning forward. So I think this is a really an asset to us to be able to move forward financially as a community and stay on top of our assets.
if we're doing
Yeah.
our,
Go ahead,
No, I'm
Craig.
sorry, Dave. I was just gonna say, and the prioritization, I think, is going to be key. If we roll this into a 5, 10, 15-year plan, when the next time the courts need to be redone or the parking lot needs to be redone, we're probably not gonna have all the funds earmarked. But if we prioritize properly, we'll get things done that are really, really key to keeping things functional.
Right.
I
Agreed.
think we have to make those decisions once we understand what the needs are.
So when you have your estimated remaining life years, I mean, we take those into account on each of the assets and look and see where, right? That's part of the prioritization.
I think what I was trying to say, and maybe I'm not saying it right, is the law of averages is going to play out through this whole process. So, I mean, Dave, we have to still know what everything's going to cost, but the lifespan of a tennis court is different than the lifespan of a parking lot, is different than the lifespan of a pavilion, is different than the lifespan of everything else. So if we do our due diligence and we have all of that information, then we're not going to go and say $20,000 for this and $10,000 for that. We're going to figure out what the happy kind of average is. And that's what we're going to use to base our decision on when it comes to that. Am I off on that? I guess I'm asking you, Dave.
No, I agree with what you're saying, because the funding would be there when it's necessary, and once you understand what I believe you need for funding, then you have to explain that to the community, ensure that they're on board with it, and then develop a model as to how we get there.
Right. Okay.
So I think the next step is having one of these models for each asset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if we all agree on the format, and I don't think anybody's opposed to it.
I think the format's great. I think it's very thorough.
I do too.
I think it's transparent too, and I like the timelines.
Yep. Very well done.
And I like the idea, Chris, of hanging out at your house for an afternoon and on a Saturday and hashing it all out. I'll bring some snacks.
And Jenny will love that too.
I don't know about that, but yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Some of the things that I think it would be better if we get together in a group, because like Dave said, some will require contracting. Some maybe will require folks going out and getting an estimate, and then others, we may say, well, that's what the cost is today. What will the cost be in 10 years?
Right.
So we those are all good discussions to have as a small group.
And I
Right.
think that whatever we do is going to be better than what we have in place right now. So that's a positive.
All right. So moving forward, Chris, you said you did the pavilion, or I don't have the actual spreadsheet up because I have it in.
I didn't put it into this format. I did it in the old format, so I wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable, because it was time consuming before I put it into this format. But I have it roughed out, for painting and roof and cement work and the stone work and walkways and and when we have to eventually redo the pavilion entirely. But yeah, I have it roughed out similar to this.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure, and Julia's not here, but I'm pretty sure as one of the assets was the rock wall. I know she took that one.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who else took.
I had taken Glimmer Glen, the road.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember. Somebody else took the parking lot, but I don't remember who that was.
Wasn't that Jeff? Jeff, did you take the parking lot?
Jeff says,
We took the parking lot.
All right. So, do you feel comfortable with this model and making something like this, or following the model when it needs, when it needs to be redone, crack filled or patched or,
Yeah. Fine.
okay. Lifespan, so forth. Dave, let's see, what else is there?
The dam is going to be tough.
So I did offer the dam. You really can't do it until after it's reconstructed. I don't think. Because we really don't know what maintenance is gonna be. We don't know what, we don't know. I believe the spillways are now gonna be concrete, which is a completely different animal than what we have now. So I think that's gonna be,
You could rough it out, but it wouldn't be entirely accurate, but you could have a rough start to,
Right.
and then, continue to build when more is known.
right. And then what were the other ones, Dave? What did I miss?
We have Rockwall parking lot, Glimmer Glen Road, Courts Pavilion, dam.
The courts, there's one more. I don't remember. I don't know what it is.
I
Oh,
know.
the basin, the catch
The
basin.
playground.
Oh, the
Playground.
playground and
And
the,
again, it's something probably have to wait until we get the new one.
right. Playground and
Wasn't
the
it
bio basin.
The bio basin, yeah. So maybe there's 8, not 7.
I knew there was 7 or 8, and I think the 8th one was the rock wall we added on.
Yeah,
That's 8.
yeah.
Rock wall should be pretty straightforward, I would think.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
But it's an expense or.
It is. Nancy, did you say you would do the playground once it's erected and so forth?
Okay.
Sure.
You sound squeaky, honey. Sorry.
It's like if I start to talk, I'm gonna start to cough.
Okay, don't talk.
Oh, we got her going now. Great.
Oh,
Don't say anything else. Use sign language.
all right, so do we have takers for all of them, Dave?
No, the bio basin still has not been adopted.
All right. Lisa, Craig, Evelyn? Any takers?
Who would we work with for the bio basin?
Well,
I would think we'd have to work with the people that constructed it initially.
So
That's
Allegra.
John
That's
Allegra.
right?
Yeah.
John did that?
John Allegra did that.
Yes.
All right, I'll
yes.
take that. I'll take it. It's I think that one's an easy one, so I'll take it.
Okay.
There are no easy ones.
No,
Never,
I don't-
never.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, so we got eight owners now.
Awesome. Okay.
I would like to suggest someone join me on the pavilion. If someone wants to, I think I need someone who was familiar when the pavilion was constructed.
Dave Edgington.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
Dave would be excellent. If we could maybe talk to Dave and see if he's willing to go over the details. I know I could reach out to Steve Nelson as well. Steve was pretty much the general manager for when that was being constructed, and I know that there's a bunch of quotes that I don't have. I have some WAGs, and I think we're going to maybe Dave or Steve Nelson, one of those two, so we could dial it in. Right now it's loosey goosey.
Chris, I have all the paperwork from when that was rebuilt. All the quotes, all that.
Oh, well then maybe you and I want to do it.
It's
But that's already
so-
over 10 years old, right?
yeah, I don't know if I think all of you know that Lynn Chrissy and I have been going through all of the archived papers that were in the storage room, and a lot of them are set to be destroyed. They're old and not necessary to be kept for FOI reasons or for retention reasons. So there's quite a few of them. I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, those papers are in the destroy box. I can look through and pull them back out.
Yeah, I mean, if they have contacts, we could see if they're still in business, and then look to, say that the stonework around the pillars need to be redone in every
Yep.
15 years. That would be valuable information if you
Right.
have
I think
that.
I think it would give you a blueprint, Chris, at a minimum.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
that would be great.
I'll go back through. I have an idea which box it's in based on the year that it was built, or rebuilt. So I'll go back through and I'll dig that box out. Okay, any more on this? Everybody's got their ownership now. I don't think there needs to be, I mean, you might want to make a couple of adjustments based on your model, or your asset.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, Lori, that like on the road, I mean, one of the things that I want to do is get up there and assess what the needs are before I start developing a plan,
Right,
you know, and maybe even get some input from other folks in that area so that it's just not Dave's understanding of what the needs are. Because they could be broader than what I see.
right. And by the way, based on that paperwork that I told you about that I've been going through, I was correct. The residents there did not want to give up their property to let the town take over that road. So
So that's the first decision tree that's probably got to be at least noted and then go from there.
right. So I don't know if it's a matter of talking to the town, then talking to the residents on Glimmer Glen again and saying, hey, because I feel like if the residents aren't willing to give up 3 feet of their property on Glimmer Glen, the rest of the community is going to say, well, then why do we have to pay for it if they don't want to give up their property to let the town own the road? You know what I mean? I feel like we're going to get into that.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, but there are just, and we're going down a rat hole that I really don't want to go down right now.
Right.
But,
Okay.
There are spots in the road where there are deep, the pavement's missing and it puts the association at risk. Okay. And I don't know what the costs are to mitigate that, but I think we should at least know that and understand as a group what decisions we're making.
Okay. Agreed. Excellent. So you're on that, Dave?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So everybody's got their thing, their asset, and we will.
So Lori, are you and I working together on the pavilion to finish it up?
Sure. I got to dig out
I
that.
didn't, I want to see a head nod.
Yes, but I'm not in town right now.
All right, Lisa, you heard that. You see it. It's recorded.
Heard it. I heard it. I can help, but I don't have any context for you like Dave Edgington would. But if you need someone to tag in, let me know.
Okay, so now I'll just pile it on too. I'm happy to help Chris wherever I can.
You already said you'd bring the snacks.
That's it. I like snacks.
Popcorn.
Love popcorn.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else to discuss regarding the model? Thank you, Chris. That was, and Dave, this was really, really well done.
You're welcome.
I guess nothing. Okay. Let me go back to my other one here. Okay, so I think the only other report I have is for geese. So Evelyn, where are you?
Before we get to geese, can I just say for events, I just wanted everyone to know that we did decide on a date for Carnival and it's August 16th. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say, just to throw that date out there.
Sorry, I was going to mention that in the beginning, Lisa.
No worries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just keeping you on task.
Okay. Are we ready for geese?
Ready for geese.
All right. I think everybody got Evelyn's email. We can let her present to us and just hang on to your questions till she's done. Go ahead, Ev.
Can't hear you.
Nope, you're muted.
Still can't hear you, Evelyn.
Evelyn, just take your headphones out and use the. Okay, Evelyn, can you hear us? Yes?
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
there
there
you
we
go.
go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. There's something wrong with my headphones.
It's definitely the headphones, Evelyn.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So you read what I sent. Let me start with what we have done. Sent an email blast to Tim Pelton to distribute to the East Shore side. That was about a week ago. I have not got a reply from him yet. Waivers, I have about 100 signed. They're still dribbling in. I'm getting an email blast ready to send to get volunteers to start looking for nests and join our committee. And that brings us to the fencing. So we spent, Lynette and Holly and I measured a couple weeks ago. No, about a week ago. Hang on, Gail wanted to come in.
Lisa said, do
Sorry.
you see that Holly Landers is also on?
Yeah. They
Got it. Thank you.
they know they can't talk. They wanted to hear.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So-
Listen, anybody that comes, I'm happy. I think more
didn't-
people should come to the board meetings.
I was hoping to give her more of a heads up, so my bad. So the proposal for the fence is to put it up as soon as the ground defrosts. We had thought we could put it on the beach. It has to actually go a few feet into the water because we don't want the geese sitting on the beach nesting. And they won't do that if it's close to the water. This is more about keeping the geese off the beach, the fencing. This is not really about nesting. They're not going to nest on the beach. They're going to nest where they can't be seen. Eggs, the nest start probably in March, and then it takes about 28 to 32, 33 days for the eggs to hatch. Last year, we saw them at the beginning of May, the babies. I don't know. Your questions?
Yes.
So I have a question. So I keep a fence on my beach, Evelyn, to keep the geese out, okay?
Yeah.
Because it was my understanding that what the fence does is the little ones can't go across the fence until they can fly, okay? And the mature ones won't go onto the yard without the little ones. So that I'm not disagreeing with the proposal on the fence. I'm just wondering about the timing and what effect it has and when. Like if we're not trying to avoid nesting, okay, but we're just trying to keep them off the beach. At what point do we need to put it into for that? And maybe the nesting is a different issue.
Nesting is a different issue. The fencing should go up as soon as we can, as soon as the ground defrosts enough. And it should stay up. Nesting is different. Nesting, they're going to go. So one of the nests we found a couple years ago was the peninsula down Third Beach. They're very hard to find. They blend in. I mean, if any of you have ever seen a nest, raise your hand. One. Because they're very, very, very hard to locate. They're very good at disguising where they are. They blend in with their surroundings. The babies, when the babies are born, yes, they can't fly, and that is when we also want to keep them off the beach then.
How long do the fences have to stay up, Evelyn?
They should be up 24/7 all the time. But
Throughout the whole season?
yes, but if we can keep them up, like I said last time, from sunset to sunrise, that will help our beaches tremendously. Keeping by keeping the poop off the beach and not having to clean it up every morning and not have to carry buckets of poop.
Okay, I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
you have, Evelyn, you have full-time during early spring
Mm-hmm.
and through the night, through the summer. So where is your demarc there? So you have early spring, you want to do, 24/7. When do you want to change to just to the night?
Probably the holiday weekend. We could change to nighttime.
What holiday?
What is
Shut
it?
up.
Memorial Day, Labor Day, end of May.
All right, so Memorial Day, that's the weekend when the swim lines go in and all that, right?
Yeah.
So end of May is when you want to change over to nighttime only.
Yes.
Who and how do you have volunteers that are going to put these in and take them out? One. Two, I did read Lisa's comment regarding Sobe's comment regarding Third Beach. You don't have anything written down for Third Beach. And I feel like if we put them on all of these beaches, they're going to go to Third Beach. So it's hard to say that if you want to do this, you can't go, you have to go all or nothing, I'm guessing.
It's also a money issue right now. And what we found historically is the geese don't like the beach area as much because they don't have a direct line of sight to leave because it's in. If we find that it's an issue, come July 1st, when I have more money, then we will fence Third Beach. For now, our priorities is First Beach and Second Beach
And Little Beach you have, right?
and Little Beach. That I
So-
have.
Do you have volunteers that are going to do this nightly and in the morning?
We're going to have to get volunteers. I am thinking that if we could get the help of the beach rakers in the morning, it'd be easier for me to get somebody at night to put it up, to get volunteers at night.
I think if we want to incorporate beach rakers to take on additional duties, I think we're going to have to incorporate further funding. Because I think you're
They already have to-
piling on the beach raker.
Isn't
Right,
part
it's-
of the beach rakers' duties picking up the poop?
It might be picking up the poop, but it ain't putting the fence in.
No, if there's no poop, then it's really not that hard to put that fence in. It's on stakes. It rolls. I mean, if they really are if it's really gonna be that much of an issue, we'll find volunteers. But I'd rather put a fence up than pick up 3 buckets of poop every day.
Can you explain what the fence looks like? So I can't fathom what
Have you seen the
fence-
one at that was at the pavilion? The
Yes.
white fence? That.
like the wire fence.
It's netting. It's like a white netting. I can send a link so that you can see. It's called VersaNet. It's more webbed. We removed the metal fencing last year and put up this white webbed fencing around the grass area at the pavilion.
So is it like that orange plastic web type of?
Yeah, it's not orange. It's not as ugly. It's white. It's thinner.
And how
And
tall is it?
we would like to go with the 30-inch. what we have now is a 24-inch. Um,
And
questions?
if this goes in the water, kids or people can't step over it to swim.
No, it'll have to come down. You can get it with gates, but
I think that would be a liability with children and so forth, to leave it up during the day when people
yeah,
are
no.
people
It's-
stepping over it and so forth.
The grass area that we had at the pavilion that was fenced, I took that down by myself. That was 200 feet. I took that down by myself in October. It's not hard. It's not heavy. You can get it in 50-foot sections or 100-foot sections, and then they tie together. It's really, if you want to see what it is, there's some in the closet, the properties closet. You can see the weight, the feel of it. I mean, unfortunately, it's up on the top shelf, but it's a lot easier than the metal one.
And is it stakes that have to be pounded in so that it stays? What is it?
Yeah, but they're white stakes, but they go in really easy.
So Evelyn, would you say that it would take a half hour each day to put it in and take it out?
Yeah,
For
maybe.
each beach or just first beach?
Each beach.
Half an hour?
For each
Uh,
beach?
It's not that hard. I would suggest that the only part that we take down on first beach would be what's on, because we need to go up and around on first beach. We have to do the grass area, and then we have to get down by that bush and up by the kayak area. I suggest leaving those alone.
Well, people will want to access their kayaks.
You can
though,
still
right?
access the kayaks. It won't go all the way up to the wall.
Lisa Holbert, did you have a financial question?
I think
Lisa Holbert, did you have a financial question? You raised your hand.
I did, not a question. I just wanted to volunteer that financially, we only pay them for 5 days a week. So you're not getting beach rakers every morning.
I'll do the other two.
It's just added information. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like with Lori. I mean, we pay them a stipend. It's not an hourly rate, but this is a board thing. But I just wanted to volunteer that it's only 5 days a week that they're doing each beach.
I'll do the other two.
Well, right now we don't have beach rakers for first and third beach. So, we have interested parties. However, I don't want to lose somebody because they have to also do that, Evelyn. That's my concern. For the same pay. So you're saying,
Well, if it works, Lori, they're either picking up poop or they're putting out fence. So if it works, if the fence works, then it
doesn't
if
take a
the-
half an hour to pick up poop.
Yeah, it does.
okay.
So a half hour at
It
first
goes
beach,
all the way up the beach.
a half hour at second beach, and then probably 20 minutes at Little Beach? Evelyn?
Probably. I think second beach will probably be easier because for the most part, it'll be fenced across and just where the sand is, because the rest of those plants, except for the gaps, you leave the kayak area open. We would use the metal fence that we have left over for where the plant areas are, so that would stay. That wouldn't need to come down.
And who would do Little Beach?
Holly said she would.
Okay. Nancy, go ahead.
I think it would be really hard to deter them on Second Beach because they come up on the boat launch, they come up on the kayak launch, they come up on the beach. There's more poop on Second Beach on the grass than, anywhere. So they're all over that whole area. I just don't know how much of a deterrent it would be.
The only part that we can't feasibly stop them from coming up is where the dock is. On either side of that, there's really not much we can do, but for every other part there, we can. With one type of fencing or the other.
Chris, has a question, Evelyn.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
My question, I think it's a good idea, Ev. And, I think we have to try something different. And this would be something different. I am familiar with the fence that you bought, at First Beach. And, my only concern is very similar to what Nancy said about Second. I think First Beach will work really well. I do have a concern it might not work as well at Second Beach. So I don't know how you feel about this, Evan. I mean, maybe it's a bad idea, but do we start with looking at First Beach and trying that? And then if it works really well, we come up with a plan for Second Beach?
Kind of like a pilot, right, Chris? Like pilot First Beach and maybe even Little Beach too.
I don't know. I mean, I think it has to be first and second. And I think there is a way to do most of second. I mean, we walked it. We were out there when it was freezing a couple weeks ago, and we walked it. And I think there's a way. I mean, I'm one of the people that chases those geese off of Second Beach in the morning back into the water. I know where they go in. I know where they come out. Those are the areas that we could block off. The only area I don't think we'd be able to block off is the kayak loading area and the sides where the dock are and the guy's yard over there.
So, Sobi, you have a question?
Yeah, so I guess my question, because we're kind of going around and around with this, there's two questions. What is the ask? Is the ask for the board to approve fencing based on your letter, First and Second, Little Beach? And then is there a fee for that you're looking for funding for?
I have the funding. I have about $2,500 at the moment. I think they're 23, and this would be under $1,000. And spending our money on this fencing is also less times that Nutmeg Farms needs to come out to harass the geese, other than when we're looking for nests.
So I think it's just my opinion, but I think it's worth trying if the funding is there. My concern is when the season is fully operational and you've got families and kids and adults going in and out of the water during the day, I would hate to see any obstruction so that no one trips or falls or anything like that. And then, of course, the volunteer to make sure that this continues.
Right. So my biggest concern, Lisa, which agreed, my biggest concern is the volunteer that does this. So because during the day, the plan is to have that down at, I'm guessing sun up, Evelyn-ish, right? First thing in the morning. So I think, Lisa, there probably wouldn't be that issue with families and stuff because it would be down during the season, during the day. But my concern goes back to volunteers. And if Holly's going to do Little Beach, that's great. I think we'd have to ask Dave if he's willing to do Second Beach because he's the beach raker. If that's, and maybe, maybe they would have to be funded a little bit more and, for doing the extra. I understand you're saying they won't be picking up poop, but there's no guarantee of that yet.
Well, it sounds like, Lori, that it's just First Beach. If Dave is okay with Second and Holly is okay with Little Beach, we still are back to, as far as people putting it up and down, we really just need to establish a first beach raker and probably a backup plan if that person's sick or, can't do it on a particular morning, to make sure that, that it gets done. It always has to get done. We can't have a situation where it's left out because someone's sick or overslept or what have you.
Agreed. Evelyn, have you talked to Dave Edgington about
I
that?
have not.
All right, so let's not say that he'll do it yet, because we need to ask him first.
So maybe, you've talked about a couple email blasts, Evelyn. Maybe there needs to be another one for volunteers to put up and take down.
Maybe there's somebody that walks early in the morning.
Yeah.
I would say, to what Lisa's point is, though, I think if Evelyn could get this laying flat, I don't see her any strong objections. If we could have a primary and a secondary and get a process laying flat, I don't hear any strong objections to this. I think it's a good idea, actually, myself.
Right. It's the volunteer. So, and remember, the beach rakers are only 5 days a week. They're not 7 days a week. And they alternate those days based on rain, based on their schedule, what have you. So it's a little bit to coordinate if you don't get somebody specifically for that, Evelyn. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's my concern. And I would hate to have you do it and put all the effort into it and just have it, not put in and not taken out. And
Well, I mean, I can add that to the email blast. I don't know if we want to do more than one. I think more than one email blast. I don't want to overwhelm people, because our primary right now is getting people to help search for nests. March, beginning of April.
I don't think it would be a bad idea to maybe we could put out an email blast, a geese update, and put in there, what you want to do, and maybe you wind up with 2 volunteers that, one takes 3 days a week, one takes, the weekend or whatever. I don't know. I just think it's going to be hard to coordinate with the beach raker, because you don't know what days they're doing. And again, you haven't asked Dave.
Well, we know the beach rakers don't rake in the rain, so that's
Right. But they still have the opportunity to choose the days they want during the week.
Mhm.
So,
Well, Lori, there's another solution that I would, we have the calendar. If we put out there on the calendar first, second, third beach, and they establish a schedule as a part of the criteria, I think that would help. It's maybe shouldn't be as ad hoc as we've been having it. I know Dave's not ad hoc. He has certain days that he does it on, but we're not talking about third beach because we're not going to do it here. So we're only really talking about first beach. So when we get that first beach raker, we could say, well, let's establish those 5 days and put them on the calendar, perhaps.
kind of hard to do that with one and not the others,
Well,
It's kind of
I'm sure Dave will do it too. I'm just saying, Dave, I already know from last year from cleaning up the goose poop for a couple of weeks. He does it on particular days.
No, I know, but that doesn't mean that Dave will agree to do the fence.
I know. I just
No,
that saying we could put it on the calendar.
Well, I think
Sounds like no one has an issue with having the fences there at all. The issue is just finding the volunteers to do so.
I think that's the issue, Evelyn.
Yeah.
I think it's finding the volunteers and trying to incorporate them with the beach rakers because of the schedules and well, first of all, we don't have a first or third beach raker yet. I think maybe you canvas for a small team or something. Like Lisa said, I don't think anybody seems to be having an issue with the fence being in and seasonally coming out and going in. I think it's I think
I think we need to get the fence in first. And then we gotta work on getting the volunteers.
Craig's got his hand up, Lori.
I know, I was waiting for Evelyn to finish. Go ahead, Craig.
So what are we trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to determine whether or not we should get fence and give it a try? Or
That's
are
what
we,
I'm asking.
No,
or are we trying to determine how we're going to schedule the whole thing?
no, I think the board seems to be okay with what Evelyn wants to do. What
Okay.
our contentions are is the volunteer that doesn't coordinate well or isn't showing up and the fence is there all day long.
So can I make a suggestion then? If this is going to be how much does the fence cost to get it on First Beach, Evelyn?
First, it's, I don't have
Okay, so
the breakdown. Wait a minute.
if we all agree that,
about
if we all agree
800
that if we all agree that it's something we should try, then aren't we just trying to say, yes, let's try it, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get people to backfill the days? I mean,
That's what the
we
discussion-
always have volunteers. There's always people. I mean, okay, and so if
Easy
it
for you to
happens,
say.
well, no, yeah, because I'm never here.
No,
No,
because
but
you
what
won't-
I'm saying for the purposes of today, is the focus just trying to get the yes or no on the fence? And I think we're all yes. So then all the other stuff will have to work out. But we've always
Yes,
worked
please.
things out. So
I mean, when you think about it, this fence needs to, I mean, it's pretty bad, rough winter right now, but once this starts to melt, get the fence in. Most people aren't here during the week
Right.
until the holiday weekend. Most people are seasonal. They're here on the weekends. It should be easy to get somebody to help take it down on the weekend. I don't see people, wanting to go in the water in March,
think that-
April.
Getting it in is fine, Evelyn. It's a
Well-
matter of getting volunteers to get it in. 1, 2, you got to make sure you stay away from when the swim lines go out. And I think that's
stay away from when the swim lines go out, meaning what? The day the swim lines go out?
well, they go out, yeah, whatever weekend that is.
Right. But that's just coordination. I mean, coordination is easy, I think.
I know, but we're bringing it to light to make sure. So
Yeah, I don't want the swimmy dock landing on the fence like it did last year. So I can be there the day that the swimmy docks and the ropes are going out. I want to wash that swim dock off anyway.
Okay. What else did you need from us, Evelyn?
As far as that, for that topic, that's it. I do have another topic.
Okay, go ahead.
You're not going to, so that's it. Just, am I okay to go ahead and buy the fence and put it up?
yeah, I mean, you can
Alright.
put it up, but we need to work out,
Schedule.
the schedule come summertime. That's all. So you got a couple of months to kind of, work with that.
Okay, so the other thing you guys asked me for last month was you want a contract with Nutmeg Farms. I asked her. She does not have contracts. And with all the companies she works with, she does not have a contract. The only one that has ever asked for anything is the U.S. Coast Guard, and it's a proposal, which she does for us. She gives us proposals. She works Coast Guard, ESPN. I got a list of people that she works for. Coca-Cola, City of Bristol, Town of Manchester, Hartford Insurance. None of them she has a contract with. Gail came up with a compromise, a memorandum of understanding that she has been working on. So if we want a contract, either we get something from our attorney or Lynetta's going to have to go to her attorney, and somebody has to pay to have the contract created.
So I have questions. Does Nutmeg Farms carry liability insurance?
Yes. We have copies of all her stuff on the Geese Drive, her insurance, her licenses, her permits with the DEA and DEP, everything's there.
So I'm confused. What's the issue with contract?
I don't know. I was asked to get a contract. She doesn't have them. She doesn't do them.
Evelyn, can you talk a little bit more about what Gail is working on?
I know nothing about contracts. So Gail said she would create a memorandum of understanding. And I don't know much about that. She was working on it and it's been having computer issues.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
But can I ask, I mean, so the thing with the contract, I would get wanting a contract if what she does is the same every month. But it's not. It's not like the trash guy that, picks up 2 trash cans in front of each house every week. It's not like the landscaping guy who mows certain polar properties. I mean, when Allegra does work, do we have a contract? We have a contract. We get an estimate. I don't think we have a contract with him for work.
Quotes. So
You get a quote?
it's a matter of a per job contract. He sticks to the quote,
Yes.
but he sticks to the quote. So it's the contract for that job.
Right.
But his job is cut and dried. Lynette's job is hit or miss.
It's fluid. There's no way to determine, is she going to come out? Are we going to find 3 nests that require, 1 visit? Are we going to find 5 nests that's going to take 10 visits to find? There's no way to determine that. There's so many variables.
Evelyn, do you have a handle on how many times she's come out? Like on a given month?
It's been a while.
What's her traffic?
It's been a while since she's come out.
Well, obviously we're in the winter, but
right.
during the season, does she come out 15 times a month? Does she come out 26 times a month? Do we have that data?
Yeah, I have invoices. Yeah, she probably.
I mean, obviously we do because we pay her, right?
So this last summer, depending on my schedule, she would come out either in the morning or at night. And it was all, pretty much based on me saying, can you come out? If I'm away and I don't have anybody to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go chase the geese off the beach, which we hopefully won't have to do, she comes out. So, I mean, I really, unless I went back and looked at every single invoice that I have, there's no way to give you an accurate number of that.
Okay, and so forgive me for missing the last meeting where this was discussed, but what's the purpose of the request to have a contract?
I don't know.
Well, we have guidelines in our documents that say if you have certain expenditures, you need to have quotes and contracts or take bid exceptions.
Got it. And so would quotes suffice in this situation? Because a quote could be something as simple as, I estimate I'm going to come to the property 15 times in the next 30 days.
I mean, it's really no different than a contract if it's signed by 2 people because it has all of the parameters outlined there.
and
So
perhaps that is what Gail is trying to establish. We don't know. We'd have to find out from Gail because the memorandum of understanding, right, is an agreement between 2 people. So,
Well, a gentleman's agreement.
well, it sounds like a memorandum is something written.
So from what I understand, it lets us create the line item budget that gives us more control over how to spend the budget.
Right. So it comes down to, if we're going to Dave's point, if we're going to do our due diligence and make sure that we stick by our bylaws, then can't we just get a quote like we do for everything else? Quotes always have overages in them. If John Allegra, for example, comes and does a job for us and he quotes us $1,000, but something changes and it ends up being 1,300, are we going to tell him not to do it? And did we not satisfy our requirement for having a contract with quote? Am I not saying this right? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
I'm
because I missed the
following
last
you,
minute.
Craig. It sounds right to me.
So then can't we just
As
get,
long as it's signed. I do believe it has to be signed though,
okay,
to
but
be a
that's easy.
contract. I think it needs to be signed, but I'm not 100%.
So can't we just get Lynette to say that I anticipate my need for this next month is going to be X and then present it to the board? And then the board says, all right, we can go with that. And then if she says it's $1,000 and it turns out to be 1,300, are we going to say no? No, we're not. We're going to approve it because it's stuff that's necessary. So is the need for us, Dave, I guess this question to you, Dave, is the need for us to have a contract just to satisfy our bylaws, and will that type of quote satisfy that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't know how much we're actually spending with this organization. Okay, so I don't even know what the parameters are that are necessary. Okay,
Fair.
but if they were to exceed $5,000, which is where we say we have to have a contract, you know, then
We do not.
We don't
Hold on, Evelyn. Go ahead, Dave.
I mean, the bylaws say at $5,000 we have to have a contract. Okay. We have to have competitive bids and a contract. Now you can you can use a bid waiver, okay? And perhaps we're below that threshold. I don't know. You know, and below that threshold, then we just have to make sure that, you know, we have the proper amount of insurance in place, which is $1 million, and all the other parameters that are in the bylaws.
So we have the cert, it's $1 million. And I think the 5,000 or whatever the number is, that's on an annualized basis, or is that on a one-time? That's an annual, right?
The 5,000 is 5,000 period, whatever.
Period, right. So
1,000 is something that needs to be approved by the board.
1,000 needs to be approved by the board. 5,000 needs to have competitive bids or a bid waiver.
Correct.
Lisa, sorry to call in the treasurer, but how much did we spend on Lynette last year?
She does not exceed that. Her budget's only $5,500 last year, Craig.
Okay, so if she doesn't exceed it, then can't we just get quotes? We can talk about it every month, and the problem goes away.
Oh, shit.
So just can I back it up a little bit, because I pinned the definition of memorandum of understanding. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I just want to make sure I pinned it right.
Sorry, I don't see it.
It's a memorandum of understanding is an agreement between two or more parties outlined in a formal document. It is not necessarily legally binding, which depends on the signatory's intent and the language in the agreement, but signals the willingness of the parties to move forward with a contract. The point being, if it's below the, what are we trying to accomplish here? Lynette would tell us, just tell her to give us $1,000 quote every month or whatever. It's not like we don't need the work. She could just say, hey, I expect that I'm going to come out to the property X amount of times. If we go over, fine. That's what we do as a board. We're as a board of governors, we're taking care of our fiduciary responsibility to the membership, but we're also doing a service for the membership to help mitigate the geese issue, which, we could argue 16 ways to Sunday whether that's an issue to everybody or not, but we've been doing it this far. Isn't it just as easy as saying, okay, Lynette, just tell me how many times you think? Let's come up with a reasonable average.
Well, that's what her proposal is. I think the issue is it's a proposal versus a contract, and are we as a board willing to accept that? That, I think, is the ultimate question.
Okay, so why wouldn't we as a
Just so
board
you
be
know,
willing to accept that?
Craig, for a little more added information, the past 3 or 4 years with the budget committee, which has been different people, have had an issue with the proposal and being able to account for when money is spent and when it's not, and how and all of that. That's what the budget committee does. And so that is what has perpetuated this and pushed forward and said it would be a lot easier if you can come to the budget committee with something a little more substantial than a proposal of, you think you need to come out, and I'm sorry, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, 7 times a week, in January, and 10 times a week. Like, it was very difficult for the budget committee. And as you can see, this past budget committee also had a very difficult time with awarding what Evelyn was asking for based on that proposal.
Okay.
So that is the problem in a nutshell.
But the majority of the work that Nutmeg Farms does is fluid. It could be busy, it could be not be busy. It's like the rain comes for 2 weeks and then it goes away for 3 months. So I just don't understand why we can't say to the budget committee that it's a fluid situation. And this is what it's cost us over the last X period of time. And this is what we expect it to be. But just like any,
wait,
landscaper on a golf course, it doesn't know how much rain is going to happen. I mean, how do you, it's a fluid situation.
So that's what the budget committee went by. And that's why they awarded her what they awarded her. And that's not what Evelyn was happy with. That's what they went by. They looked at the average of what she needed, when she needed it, how she needed it. The budget committee scrutinizes each individual financial request. So in order to make Evelyn move forward a little bit easier in the coming year with the budget committee, this was something that was highly recommended to her.
But Evelyn's job as the Geese chairperson is a lot more than just Nutmeg Farms, and the budget should reflect that. So why are we harping on Nutmeg Farms and getting a contract? That's what I don't understand.
Okay, so I'm going to let you. If this is something you're really asking, we'll let Tish come and have a conversation. And she's already had this conversation, at the town meetings, at everything. And the budget committee came up with what they came up with, and the year before too. So there's got to be something said about it.
But I don't think Tish said anything about having Nutmeg Farms giving us a contract. We're talking about two different things as far as I can tell.
I can't.
Nancy, are you nodding in approval, or are you?
No, it was very clear that if there was a contract with the primary provider of geese services, not a drone or a fence or those extra things, that we need to be within our financial policies and have a contract with this service provider, because it's more than $1,000 a year. And the contract also isn't just about how much, or it's about what type of service is provided when. Last year, there were no visits during the nesting season. The visits were during the summer after the babies were already born.
When they couldn't fly.
So that was,
And what was the reason for that?
we don't know. And so what we
Evelyn
wanted to
knows. What was the
do-
reason, Evelyn?
Let Nancy finish talking, Craig.
What we wanted to do is to use Nutmeg Farms for the professional service that she provides, specifically nesting, avoidance of addling, all that stuff. Use her during that period of time. Don't use her to put up a fence. Don't use her to pick up poop. Those are things that our community can do. And I'm speaking as to, this is what the budget committee discussed. I was there for one of the conversations, not both of them, but that was what was discussed during the one that I was there. There's no other professional provider within our system that doesn't have a contract. And we can do a minimum and a maximum on the contract. We don't have to be exact. You could say during the 25-26 year, approximately X number of visits during these months and X number of visits during those months. And, we know whatever her rate is, if it's the same or if it's gone up, and then do those multiplications and have that signed. And that
like
the budget committee will be more.
So it's more for approval of a budget than it is for binding a contract.
No, it's for both. It's for all of it.
Lisa, you have a
The
question?
treasurer has specific information, and we, as a budget committee, got some information last year from the treasurer. It took a while. It was a struggle some of the time because some of the bills hadn't come in. But that's where we can take the those averages of what happened during one year and apply it to the next. It's not going to be exact, like Evelyn said, as far as, you know, this month or next month, but getting a contract for the year is the focus.
Lisa,
Yeah, I just want to add to it because sometimes, Nancy, I forget you were on the budget committee, but the budget committee hammered me last year for this information. Evelyn, as you know, you, Lynette, and I did a dance about, you know, I needed more information. The budget committee was asking for more description of what the site visits were. I think the best we could do is settle on an addendum. So each invoice that comes in, it'll come in with site visits, sometimes, often 2 times a day, and the unit price. And then we actually added on the back what those dates were, site visit, and then it was, it's still very generic. Goose patrol, first, second, and third beach. Then a description of what a goose control is. So that's the best I could do for the budget committee because they wanted to know the what, the where, the how, the when, and what we're paying for. I don't know that this year's budget committee is going to be satisfied with that. So if we're going to go, and I know Lynette doesn't have the mechanism with whatever her billing system is to change that word site visit. You can't see that. Change that word site visit to actually what she did. But it is still very generic. It just says Goose Patrol, first, second, and third beach. And that's what the budget committee, you know, had some heartburn about, not being able to determine what was being done. That's all I got.
And I create the addendum.
Right. So you're actually doing the work. So
She does
I
not
don't
have
know.
the capability to do it with her system. And rather than having her, anyway,
all right, so I guess rather than experience the heartache that we might get again, Evelyn, maybe we make that addendum a little more granular so that when they can look at the site visit, you know, if you're the person who asked her to come in, maybe it's more specific about what she had to do. That's just my suggestion. I don't know what this year's budget committee will look at it as, but last year's budget committee was, well, okay, if that's the best we could do for now, but they weren't happy with how vague it was. That's all I got.
So just a time check, it's 8:40.
Yep.
I
don't
gotta
know-
go to my real job now. I'm being called. Have a good night.
thanks, Lisa. All right.
Gail will get the memorandum of understanding to you guys to me, and I will send it to you guys next week, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thank
all
you.
right. Thank you, Evelyn. All right. Any more on geese? Great. I just have one thing I'd like to mention. We don't have any unfinished business, new business. We do need to talk about replacement of the kiosks, but I don't want to do that today. I want to get some more information.
Hey, Lori, can I just share one thing with you regarding the kiosks?
Sure.
Last year, when we did an assessment on all of the different things that the association owned, I found those. I don't remember if it was on Granger or whether it was on Uline, but they exist. You're talking about the bulletin kiosks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They exist either on Granger or Uline as a unit. Okay.
Oh,
So it was like $1,500 per.
oh, okay. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So that's good. I did a little research myself too, and some of them were like $500-600. Others were like $6,000.
Mm.
So I'd like to see what you're talking about too.
I did hear that on the pavilion, we used to have, and I was talking to Julia about it, and I said, we should put it on the side of the pavilion so it's undercover. And
Mm,
she said that years ago it used to be there. I don't know, but instead of having it like stuck in the sand in the middle of the beach, just put it on the side of the pavilion. I don't know, just a thought.
good one. Good thought.
Weather protected, right? A little bit with the overhang, and I don't know. But some of them
Well,
are in really sad shape.
very sad shape. And the locks are no longer working. The doors are no longer shutting all the way. So we do need to talk about it. If not now, we can talk about it next month.
All right,
We have time.
we'll keep it.
I'll look to see where I found those. And
Thank you, Dave.
I'll share the information.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
The last thing under new business, which isn't under new business, I just wanted to mention, the spring packet. We're going to need to start, getting information for the spring packet, so I just wanted everybody to kind of think about that. Okay. That's all I got. Does anybody have anything? Any other new business? Does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Hey, have a good night. Take
Have a
care.
good night, everybody.
See you
Good
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Stop the recording, Lori.
Yeah, I got to go back to it though. Hold on. Stop recording.